Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Connie Williams with Zohar Teaching number 4, I believe. It's good to be back. It's been a little while. It's been really, really busy. But today I decided that I have some time and go back into doing some teachings. Miss Mamie's not here today, and she's been to the dentist, so she can't talk. That's understandable. And so just, for those of you who are joining this video for the very first time, I'm teaching the Zohar on an introductory level. I am not teaching on a very deep level because I don't know my audience. And right now I feel let's stay on the Pashat of the So'ot. And for those of you that do not know what that means, there are 4 hermeneutical levels. Hermeneutical levels are the levels how we interpret scripture, Torah, for that matter. There are 4 of them. Pashat, which is the literal level, the Remes level, which is the hint level. We're always hinting at something else. We're saying one thing, but we're really trying to express something else. Then there's the Darash, that's translated as threshing. And that means we're really looking at everything, every letter, the grammar, the gematria, and all these kinds of things. Sometimes it's also called the midrashic level. And then there is the So'ot. This is the secret, mystical level of interpretation. And while we are teaching on the So'ot level, within the So'ot level, there are also levels. And so we will be teaching the Zohar on the Pashat level of the So'ot, which is the commentary of the Pritzker Edition of the Zohar, Volume 1, that's where we are, is pretty much laid out that way. Nothing too deep, and as we continue on with the teaching, I might decide to go a little bit deeper, and who knows, we might end up with the Merkabah teachings. But for now, we will continue getting introduced to the Zohar, the companions, and their discussions as they are walking along somewhere, wherever they are walking, all right, as they are sharing their thoughts on Torah, as they are sharing the mystical insights that they are having. You can check out my very first, or I think it's the second video, where I go over the tree of life, because the whole Zohar is really a discussion about the tree of life, Etz Chaim, also called the Kabbalistic tree, and the various functions of the tree. There are many trees and many perspectives on the tree, and the tree is unfathomable. One cannot figure everything out about it. You will always learn something new about the particular sephirots or the parzofim, the faces, the countenances of the tree of life, what they are trying to convey as God created, or before he created, and just made this initial point in this vacuum that he created first, the Tzimtzum. Everything that we would ever need, everything that would ever be required for all creation was placed there through the mechanism of the Sephirotic tree. And, it's like asking who can know the mind of God. Now, God may share some parts of his mind depending on our growth, but the whole of the mind of God, it is unfathomable, and it can never be completely understood. Yet there seems to be something within ourselves that always wants to know more. I know I am one of those people. Okay, what else you got, God? Let's go. Let's go to the next place. So hopefully you will enjoy this teaching, and if you do me a favor and click the like button, maybe even leave a constructive comment, and I would really, really appreciate that. That would help the channel to grow. And that is my intent, that this teaching would be available to anyone, not just the scholars, not just the people that can afford it, but anyone. And, the Pritzker Edition is not a cheap set of books. There are 12 of them, but it is awesome. And the nice thing is you can buy them one by one. So if you are very interested in the Zohar, go to Amazon and get you at least copy number 1. All right, then let us get started. And we are going to begin with note 55 because we left off in the last video with note 54. All right, let's get into the text. And it says, then Elijah flew off. I did not see him. From him I discovered the word, whose mysterious secret I have demonstrated. Rabbi Eliezer and all the companions came and bowed down in front of him, weeping. They said, if we have come into the world only to hear this, it is enough. So we from last week, Elijah and Shimeon were talking, and some revelation happened there. Let's see what the note says. I got my picture in the way. Let me move that. And the note says, if we have come, similar exclamations appear in rabbinic literature and often in the Zohar. So it's just a note with a whole bunch of references, of which most of them we can't get our hands on it. Some of them, but not all of them. So, but since we're not digging that deep, we are just staying there. Okay, so this exclamation, what I really enjoy about that is it is very difficult as a teacher. I teach seminary, I teach, obviously I run a service on Shabbat. People like what they hear, but to truly be moved by a revelation, something that feeds your soul, your spirit, that is very rare. But it is something that I can definitely relate to. When we hear the word of God that he left behind, so to speak, for us to find our way back to him and to understand who we are and to understand who he is and the place that we have in the universe is extremely exciting to me. And I can understand how the companions were moved by what Rabbi Shimeon has told them. All right, and so now Rabbi Shimeon is responding, and he said, so the heavens and their array were created by Ma, what? I believe it's the very first Hebrew word that I learned from Rabbi Eliyahu, and from that day on in school, everybody, when there was a question, Ma, so it's a good word to learn. But here, Ma, what, has a deeper meaning. Ma, what? Shekhinah. That's what Ma is referring to in this text. It likes to jump around, and I don't like that. Where did you go? 56. Okay, Ma, what? As is written, when I behold your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and stars that you set in place. Ma, how majestic is your name throughout the earth. Your splendor is celebrated above heaven. Psalms 8, 4. 8 and 4, and then 1. Yeah, I don't know what that 1 is there for. Okay. Above heaven. Let's see what the note is saying. Above heaven. Heaven refers to Tiferet, or sometimes pronounced Tiferet. Depends, which group is speaking. Heaven refers to Tiferet, above which lies Binah. So when you're looking at the tree of life, obviously, Binah is above Tiferet, and also referred to as Binah, that is, above heaven. Above heaven to attain the name, for it created a light for its light. One enclosed the other, and it attained a high name. So, in the beginning, Elohim created, Genesis 1:1. Elohim above. And maybe you can remember who this Elohim is as far as the tree of life is concerned. In the beginning, Elohim created by emanating the lower Sephirot, a light for its light. Binah, therefore, attained the name, the God name, Elohim. You know, there's often much discussion in our classes about these God names. And some denominations, let's call them that, fall out over, what is God's name? When we understand our English grammar, then we understand that a name defines some things, a place or a person, and there is no way that God himself can have a name. Now, there are God names. There are many names for God, various names. Some hold higher places than others. But these are merely expressions of God's attribute in a particular situation. And so when we read our Bibles in English, we cannot see what name is ascribed to which God name. So normally, when you read your Bibles, if you see the word God, that is usually a reference to Elohim. And here, Elohim is ascribed to Binah. When you see the word Lord, normally that is ascribed to Yod He Vav He, the highest personal God name that is available. Well, I wouldn't say the highest. It is a highest, because Eye, Asher, Eye is actually higher than that, but not used often. Normally we see Elohim, or we see Adonai, the Yod He Vav He. Adonai is the same translation as Lord. And then there's, of course, Sabaoth and El Chai, El Shaddai. There are so many names for God, but these names are not God's names. Like he's got a whole lot of names, middle names, and then his last name is God. No, it doesn't work that way. God cannot be confined, and a name does confine. A name is very important because our name is literally a prophecy. That's why it's important when we have children. We need to know what the names that we pick, what they mean, because every time you call that child's name, you're prophesying. You're prophesying into their life. And, I didn't do that with my first two children because I didn't know it. But with the other two, I did. Because I wanted to speak life and good things into my child's future. Because when I call a name, I am speaking forth its meaning, and it echoes into the universe. It echoes into the very fabric of creation and begins to build whatever that name means. All right. Back to our notes. That was God knows. Okay, here we are, 58. That was 58. So the first name of God name, I should say, in the scriptures is, of course, Elohim. As a matter of fact, the whole creation story in chapter 1 only mentions the name Elohim. It does not mention Yod He Vav He until chapter 2, which is also very interesting. And so basically the creation of our universe, the spiritual as well as the physical manifestation thereof, is attributed to Binah, because she is above what we call heaven. And so the light that flowed from Keter to Chokhmah and then to Binah gave her everything that would ever be needed to produce. I like to call Binah the womb. She is the feminine creative aspect of God. And so, therefore, the God name attributed to the Sephirah Binah is Elohim. For Ma was not so, is not composed until these letters, Ele, these in Hebrew, are drawn from above to below, and mother lends daughter her garments, though not adorning her with her adornments. Now, if you remember from our previous lessons, the mother is a reference to Binah, again, the womb, and the daughter is a reference to Shekhinah. As Binah creates, gets into a creative process, it is the daughter that carries, or Shekhinah, that carries the flow all the way down to Malchut, which is the daughter's place or station throughout the process of creation, and even now, because the process is still going on. So let's see what the note has to say. Ma was not so. Shekhinah does not emerge until Binah emanates the 7 lower Sephirot. Only then can Binah, the divine mother, lend her garments to lower Sephirot, to her daughter, Shekhinah. Right, because Shekhinah is the lowest, Malchut, the lowest Sephirot. But when Binah begins to emanate her light, all the other Sephirot have to be in place first before Shekhinah can make that trip down to Malchut. And there she receives adornments from her mother, aka Binah. All right, back to the text. When does she adorn her fittingly? When all males appear before her, as is written, all your males shall appear before the sovereign, Yod-Heh Vav-Heh, Exodus 23 and 17. All your males, all Israelite males are commanded to appear in God's temple in Jerusalem 3 times a year on the pilgrimage festival, Pesach, Passover, Shavuot, Festival of Weeks, and Sukkot, Festival of Booths. Here the command implies that the masculine power of the Sephirot must be drawn down to Shekhinah, the sovereign. Through the ritual of pilgrimage, Shekhinah is adorned. Now, to understand this, think of it in this way. Shekhinah, God's presence, is with us here in this realm, in the world of Asiya. But most people are really not aware of that. You know, unless you are gifted from birth or you had an upbringing that was very spiritual, most people are completely unaware. However, we can draw Shekhinah's flow down to the earth in a much more palpable and stronger way by, you know, the festivals. They more than rituals. The festivals represent very deep mystical truths. And because all Israel is coming together and they are expecting her, she is drawn. She is drawn to that place. This one is called sovereign, as is said, behold, the Ark of the Covenant, sovereign of all the earth, Joshua 3:11. Behold the Ark. Shekhinah is the Ark housing the Sephirah of Yesod. Okay, it is the Ark. I think there should be an S there. Shekhinah is the Ark's housing. The Sephirah of Yesod. now there are some interesting teachings concerning Yesod and Malchut. So Yesod, of course, is often described as the reproductive organs of the prototypical human Adam Kadmon. And there are some variations, on the Ashkenazi teaching. Yesod is the phallus. But if you talk to a Kabbalist on the Sephardic side, they will say, no, Yesod is the house that houses the phallus. So, yeah, pretty much the same thing. It all ends up there. So, yeah, that's what they are talking about. And of course, she is called sovereign, obviously, because it will end up in Malchut. So definitely a name that is applied here. This one is called sovereign, as is said, behold the Ark of the Covenant, sovereign of all the earth. And so the idea is that at the festivals, there is the union between the daughter and the bridegroom, or the bride and the bridegroom. And this also happens on Shabbat. Every Friday evening, the joining of Shekhinah and Tiferet, which is done, of course, through Yesod. I like to call Yesod kind of like Da'at. Yesod, which is also taught that Yesod is invisible, especially when you apply the tree of life to the congregation. That Yesod is always invisible. And so just like Da'at, which is really a non-sephirah, it's a little ball hanging somewhere in the middle, which is not counted as a sephirot, but it's an abyss, so to speak. And you can say the same of Yesod. It is the connection between the world of Asiyah and the world of Yetzirah. And so the union of Shekhinah, or the bride, and the bridegroom, Tiferet, happens through Yesod. Because if you look at the tree, you have Shekhinah on the bottom, then you have Yesod, and then you have Tiferet looking at the middle column. And so the only way for them to join, they must go through Yesod. That's where the joining happens. And so the festivals, any high holy day, Shabbat, those are all days when that joining happens. And it is said, if a couple is looking for a child and they conceive on that day, that child will get a better soul. Or you can also receive an extra soul for that time period because of the great day that it is. The portals of heaven are basically open and nothing is really restricted. When one understands that during that sacred time, which Shabbat or any of the festivals pertain to, then we understand that in this sacred time really doesn't exist. And well, time is an illusion anyway, but time really doesn't exist for us here. It becomes an island in time, as Abraham Heschel would call it. And so we can, and that's why it's also taught you shouldn't ask when you pray for stuff, because the portal to heaven is open and everything is available to be received through Shekhinah's joining with Tiferet. I hope that makes sense. All right, moving on. Then the letter He departs and Yod enters, and she adorns herself in masculine clothing in the presence of every male in Israel. Now, that's a strange thing. Let's see what the note says. The letter He. The letter He signifies the feminine. The letter Yod, the masculine. When the masculine powers of the Sephirot reach Shekhinah, she is transformed from feminine to masculine, from ma to me, when she rules the world. So this really has nothing to do with male and female powers and whatever have you, the way we think of it in the world. We must understand in the spiritual world, there's no such thing as male or female. We just are. we just are. But because this creation is created in duality, we can say when we look at duality, we're speaking about positive, negative, or feminine or male. Obviously, those terms didn't exist on the time that was written. So the more basic terms are being used. So the letter He, this is a direct reference to the holy name of God. Yod, He, Vav, He. And that name, it is a God name. However, it also, if you read that name vertically, Yod, He, Vav, He, you see there are two He's. And each letter of the holy name of God pertains to one of the worlds that the tree of life spans. The Yod obviously is the highest. Then we have the He, which is the world of Berea, where Binah and Chokhmah resides, although sometimes Chokhmah is grouped with Atzilut. And then we have the Vav, which is the world of Yetzirah. And then we have the world of Asiya, the last He. So here we can clearly see we're talking about two He's, the upper He and the lower He, the two Shekhinahs, higher Shekhinah Binah, lower Shekhinah Malchut, or the other He. So this He is attributed to the feminine emanations of God. But when the joining happens on those days, then she transforms into a masculine power that can rule the world. Shekhinah is in exile with us, and therefore she is, one can say, the ruling power of, this place that we live in. That's basically what it is talking about. The literal level. There might be a little bit more. Let's see, I lost my spot again. Okay. Other letters, Israel draws from above to this side. Ele, these, I remember. Psalms 42 and 5. Ele, these I remember. The verse continues, and pour out my soul, how I walked with the crowd, conducting them to the house of Elohim with joyous shouts of praise, the festive throng. With the arrival of these letters, Shekhinah also attains the name of Elohim, me, plus Ele. Here, the verse describes both the earthly pilgrimage to the temple and the divine procession of emanation to Shekhinah. The two meanings are linked because the human ritual below stimulates the Sephirot above. So we're still talking in the same vein. And I can't quite remember, because I actually teach the Zohar in 3 different places. So I can't remember if I said it here or elsewhere. So, if we take the word me and ele, then we have the letters for the term Elohim. So sometimes Shekhinah is also referred to, lower Shekhinah is also referred to as Elohim. And that can get quite confusing. When Elohim is mentioned, usually the context of the letter, of the sentence lets you know which one it is. But here the dance is described between the Sephirot as they emanate from Binah down to Malchut. And also kind of the process and how important it is that we understand the seasons and the times, the Moedim of God. The holy convocations is the translation of Moedim. And these times are special times because access to the spiritual side and to God are amplified. And they are amplified through the joining of Shekhinah and Tiferet, where the flow is uninterrupted between Binah, Tiferet, and Malchut. One may ask the question, well, what about the other days? We can talk to God on the other days. We can have an experience with Shekhinah on other days. Yes, you can. But it is not as simple and easy. On those days, much more preparation is necessary. But it's like on that day, it's like a homecoming, so to speak, when everything is one, tangibly one. Of course, everything is one anyway. But here we're talking about pulling down the presence of God, upon the whole nation, or one can say upon the whole earth. Of course, all of the earth doesn't believe in God and doesn't worship God. So those that are aware on those days, they have a much stronger connection. You can have that connection any day. Nevertheless, on that day, there is just a touch of something special added to it. And it really takes an experience, to really experience that yourself. And, on these days, especially in your private time with Hashem, I have experienced it several times, and it is almost overwhelming, when you are aware of the tangible presence of Shekhinah. When you find yourself laying on your couch watching TV, next thing you know, you feel something hugging you. And, amazing. It feels so amazing. It's literally indescribable. So theoretically, we obviously have to learn that first, but we can also experientially encounter these things if it is our desire, because God is always moved by desire. He himself is moved by his own desire towards mankind. That is the whole reason for the creation. It was his desire to do good unto mankind. It was his desire to bring mankind back up to the level from where they had come, with an understanding that, of who the individual is. And it is quite understood by most that, we come from God. But imagine you come from God, your soul always been there, but your soul only knows love, peace, joy, ecstasy at all times. When you live in that type of environment, it's kind of hard to appreciate it because it's your existence. And so many of us come to the earth to learn how to appreciate, that existence, to be in an existence that is kind of harsh. Life can be pretty rough. And so, and of course, we forget everything when we come here, right? And so when the soul returns, the soul has grown, has evolved, has an appreciation of the divinity and the presence of God that it has always experienced. And so that's why many of us are on the earth, to exactly do that, so that we can evolve and bring with that evolution, spiritual evolution, bring the whole world closer to God, or as it's also called, perform tikkun olam, the fixing of the world. I'm done rambling. We're going back. to our text. With my mouth I mentioned them. In my yearning I poured out my tears, drawing forth these letters. Then I conduct them from above to the house of Elohim, to be Elohim like him. And the note says, to be Elohim like him. So Shekhinah will be Elohim, like Binah. On the masculine nature of Binah, see, blah, 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 blah. We'll get there one day. We're only in one, go to 1.5. We're not there yet. But we'll get there. We'll discuss it then. All right. So it's this dance, this dance that's going on between Binah and Shekhinah, which also represents Israel, as we have studied earlier. It represents this existence. So this dance culminates on the festivals, and this dance culminates on Shabbat. With what? With joyous shouts of praise, the festive throng. Rabbi Eliezer said, my silence assembled a temple above, a temple below. More cryptic messages. Temple above, below. The temple above, again, is Binah. The one below, Shekhinah, aka Malchut. And in the Babylonian Talmud, it says, Rav said, whoever engages in Torah for its own sake, it is as if he built the heavenly and earthly palaces. So when you think about that, you can literally bring heaven down to earth. That's the whole idea of the festivals. And that's the whole idea of Shabbat, to have a tangible experience with Hashem, while we have to, live out our lives here on earth. Rabbi Eliezer's silence stimulated his father, Rabbi Shimeon, to reveal mysteries of two realms. And obviously they are two realms. As above, so below. That is the whole concept of God trying to explain through his Torah that we can bring heaven down to earth. And all the festivals, the rituals, the Shabbat, they are tools to teach us how to do that. The ritual in itself is not something God needs, but we need it. We need it because we need to understand on more than one plane, not only spiritually, but also mentally and physically. We have to kind of, with our confinement here on earth in these little bitty bodies, our soul is limited. And so things have to be brought back to our remembrance. We really don't ever learn anything. We remember. Moving back to our text. Indeed, a word is worth one coin. Silence, 2. We have a different saying there, but nevertheless. Word is worth 1 coin and silence 2. I think Proverbs tells us a little bit about that. A word is worth, a proverb cited by Rav Dimi in the Babylonian Talmud in the Megillah 18:8. If you have it, look it up. All right. One can literally say, I'm sure it's pretty evident, Words are good, but silence is better. A word is worth 1 coin. What I said, the meaning I aroused. Silence 2, by holding my silence. 2 worlds were created, erected as one. Rabbi Shimeon said, from here on the completion of the verse, as is written, the one who brings forth their array by number. Isaiah 40 and 26. Completion of the verse. The verse that Rabbi Shimeon and his son have been expounding continues. Who brings forth their array by number and calls them each by their name? Because of his great might and vast power, not one is missing. So that is the Isaiah verse. That is being talked about here. You know, you can teach like I do right now, and I could possibly, you know, somebody listening, someone possibly could get themselves a little revelation, you know, on understanding or what have you. But when we contemplate in silence, we can do so much more. You know, as we contemplate on the thought that these guys are obviously thinking about, you can do so much more with your imagination. You know, you can think, see, talk, all these things all at one time. So silence often is better than talking, because from it you can create these worlds and then bring them together. If I have an awareness of this existence, and in my contemplation, I receive an awareness of the existence above me, and I begin to realize they're pretty much the same, you know, and I could merge them. That's what it's all about. These are two rungs, each of which should be inscribed. One is what, the other who. This is above, that is below. The one above is inscribed by the words. The one who brings forth the array by number, the one who is known beyond compare. So we're really talking about the same thing. They are just bringing it about, you know, in different perspectives. And I think that's, it makes contemplation and studying Torah so much better when you can share your thoughts, somebody else shares their thoughts, and we both can get something out of it from the other. As they say, iron sharpens iron. The one who is known beyond compare, Binah. Rabbi Shimeon interprets the opening letter He of Hamotzi, who brings forth, as a definite article, the one who, rather than simply a relative pronoun, who. So here we got a little midrashic stuff going on. He in the Hebrew can be the definite article, meaning the. Let's see. 69. Is that what I was reading? Let me make sure that that's what it was. Yeah, the one who brings forth. Maybe I read the wrong one here. Okay, so 69. The one who brings forth bread. The traditional blessing over bread derived from Psalms 104:14. Again, the He is interpreted as a definite article, not just any bread, right? But the bread. The one who is known, the lower rung, and all is one. Got a little bit ahead of myself, which I have already somewhat discussed, right? The one who is known, the lower rung, and all is one. Shekhinah is molded on Binah, shares her name Elohim, and is also known as Earth. And they're really one, you know? Just one above and one below. But it's all the same thing, really. Just, you know, her presence being with us, but she's also sometimes referred to as Earth. So Shekhinah can mean many things. And so wherever we're studying in the Torah, we have to be aware of that. Shekhinah can represent the earth. Shekhinah can represent Israel. Shekhinah can represent just simply the presence of God. She can represent the bride. She can represent many, many things. You know, one thing I've learned is that when it comes to God and his word, nothing is just one way. It just does not exist. The Hebrew language wasn't set up that way. When you begin to study Hebrew, you will find out that each Hebrew word has at least four meanings. And there's one word, it's the word dabar, thing, word, matter. That's usually how it is translated. Here's already three. But if you look in the Brown Driver Briggs, it actually says there's 49 meanings that can be attributed to the word dabar. That's a lot. So now imagine the Hebrew text that was given to us. So there was a reason why God chose the Hebrew language to express himself, because it is able to say so much. And he who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit, or what Shekhinah is saying. All right. What was that? That was 70, right? All is one. Yeah. By number, 600,000 standing together, generating forces according to their kind, beyond number. Here we have beyond number, and we have 600,000. Obviously, this is a reference to Israel, who were numbered at 600,000. 600,000 beyond number. The number represents the six Sephirot, Binah and Shekhinah, which generate innumerable offspring. So on a Kabbalistic level, the 600,000, and this is interesting with the Sephirotic tree, especially in the Zoharic literature. Often we will see these huge numbers representing some parts of the tree of life. Like, for example, 370 or 370,000. 100 is attributed to the upper three Sephirot, and the other seven, they get 10. So this often happens. But here, the number 600,000, which comes from the numbering of Israel, and it's also said there are 600,000 soul clusters. Now, soul cluster does not mean 600,000 souls. Obviously, there are more souls than that, because, right now we have about 7 billion people on the earth, and that's not counting the people before and that will come. But a soul cluster is, when you look at a grapevine and you see the whole cluster of grapes, there's many grapes on there. And so this is indicating that the Sephirot, the inner six, will continuously produce. There's basically no end from, the six lower Sephirot. God will continue to stream his blessings towards us and whatever else is needed. All right. Let's see. I don't even remember when we started. And let's see. Yeah. Okay. Next number. It's a long one. And calls them each by name, both the 600,000 and their forces. What does this mean? By name. If you say they were called individually by name, not so, for then the verse should read each by its name. Rather, as long as this run had not ascended and was still called me, who, it did not give birth nor bring forth what was hidden, each according to its kind, though all of them were hidden within. Once it created Ele, these, the lower, and attained its name, Elohim, because me and Ele makes Elohim, then by the power of this name, it yielded them perfectly. This is the meaning of calls them each by name, by its very name. It called forth each and every kind to exist perfectly. Similarly, see, I have called by name Betzalel, Exodus 31 and 2. See, I have called by name Bezalel, referring to the chief artisan of the tabernacle in the Sinai desert. In other words, he was called not only on that day, yo, Bezalel, make a blueprint, of this tent and, get us a menorah and so forth. That's not what it means. But Bezalel basically was called from before time to be in this place where he would be needed to accomplish the will of God. So everything before anything became manifest, it was within Binah. But she's not called Elohim yet, because the name Elohim, while it includes the name Hu, nevertheless, these Ele are not here yet. So as she gives birth, as she emanates forward, the lower Sephirot, she is not called Elohim yet. But once she has done it, she is called Elohim, and everything that issues out from her, everything is known, every detail. There's not anything that is not known by name. Hopefully that makes sense. I mentioned my name so that Bezalel would attain perfect existence. His great might, Isaiah 40:26. His great might. And this is the continuation of the verse from Isaiah. Because of his great might and vast power, not one is missing. And a citation. Yeah, so basically, there isn't anything in this world that God is not aware of. There isn't anything that can be lost, because God has a plan. And, it gives great comfort to know that, especially when life is not going quite so well. One can then draw on that, knowing that, hey, he picked me to be here. He picked everything, every tree, every rock, every grass blade, every angel, every star. Everything has its place and everything is named, carefully thought out before it actually comes into existence. Just like Bezalel. Bezalel was needed at a particular time for a particular task. What is this? First of rungs, to which all desire ascend, ascending there secretly. Ooh, I like secrets. Let's see how we can get up there. First of rungs, either Keter, also known as Ratzon, will or desire, or Chokhmah, the first Sephirah that can be identified. And as we said in previous classes, Keter, don't even try it, right? Don't even try to figure it out or go anywhere near it, because all you can know, it's there. And it's, that's where the will of God is emanated towards us. Some Kabbalistic literature will refer to Keter. Other Kabbalistic literature won't touch Keter at all and start with Chokhmah, because Keter and Chokhmah are both so undifferentiated that, really doesn't matter. One without the other can't exist. So our grasping of ideas within the Sephirotic tree really begins with Binah. Anything beyond Binah is, a split second. A split second. Some have been blessed to have that experience. And I have been told that split second, literally split second, is enough for the rest of your life and possibly 2 lives. So, this kind of goes, if you are familiar with the Sefer Yetzirah, it kind of goes back to vacillating between Chokhmah and Binah. If you did get a glimpse, and that's all you can get, is a glimpse into Chokhmah. Remember, Chokhmah is a soup of all potentiality. It's a soup. It's just like when you make a vegetable soup at home, you're trying to figure out what's in there. You can see some things, but not everything. You can't see the salt that was put in there. You can't see the pepper that was in there. You maybe smell it, but you can't really see it. And so it's all just a big ball of stuff that God put in there. And so when you do get a glimpse, you only get a glimpse of a glimpse. And then you have to immediately vacillate back to Binah. So you won't go crazy, basically. Because Chokhmah is not something that in this state that we are in, that we could, definitely can't fathom it, but that we could stand, that we could hold within our best. It would just be out of this world. Probably would be leaving this world if it did happen, which some people might be okay with that. All right, we're going to finish this paragraph, and then we're going to save the rest for other teachings that are coming up in the future. And vast power, mystery of the upper world. It is a mystery. 75, the upper world, Binah. Yeah, okay, we got and Binah is considered the 50th gate, and it is said that no one has achieved that's living upon the earth that 50th gate except for Moses. And of course, by the time he did, he was out of here. So it is said when you reach that place in your personal spiritual development, you're going home because you're done. You have accomplished what you came to accomplish. Let's see, and vast power, mystery of the upper world, which attained the name Elohim, as we have said. Not one is missing. Not one of those 600,000 generated by the power of the name, because not one is missing. Whenever any of the children of Israel died as punishment for their sins, the people were counted, and not even one of the 600,000 was lacking. Oh, very interesting, isn't it? Okay, let's check out and see what our note says here. Children of Israel, 600,000. The total number of male Israelites above the age of 20 who left Egypt was approximately 600,000. See Exodus, blah, 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 blah. The precise total of the first census taken in the Sinai desert was 603,550. The 600,000 Israelites parallel the 600,000 divine forces. And some more reference, if even one of them had been missing at Mount Sinai, they would not have been worthy of receiving Torah. Now, obviously, one thing we need to understand in the Zohar, 600,000 divine forces does not mean 600,000 divine forces. It's a metaphor, right? They are probably innumerable. But the number is used because we are familiar with that number, and it references the 6 lower Sephirot. Therefore, it makes it, it makes it recognizable. It is parallel that is being drawn here, just like Israel is always complete. As far as God is concerned, the divine forces are always complete as well. In other words, whatever God sets out to do, whatever promises he has made, he's going to keep them. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter what it sounds like. He's going to keep them promises. And creation itself is based on them. And therefore, will always see to it that it will come to pass. All right. So that everything accorded with the paradigm, just as not one is missing above, so not one is missing below. And obviously, you know, when Israel was punished, obviously a few were missing, but I guess a few boys turned, you know, above the age of 20. And when the census was done again, the full 600,000 were there again. So in other words, whatever the flow of emanation is that is coming from the upper triad, that is coming towards our existence, it doesn't run out, you know. Okay, I'm going to send a bucket of you know, creation towards you, or a bucket of blessing, and then God has said, hold up, I gotta go cook some more. No, it's a stream. It is always emanating, and whatever God gives, whatever creation affords, it doesn't take away. It does not take away from God's power. It does not take away from what God is doing at any time. All right, this is a good place to stop, because we have another a beginning. I know the first section was in the beginning, and now we're going to have another one. Yeah, it's very common in Kabbalistic literature. So we're going to stop here and begin next time. I'm going to make my little note here so that I'll know where we are. And we're going to begin with Bereshit, in the beginning. Again, yeah, we're going to do it again. All right. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it to this point, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Hopefully, I was able to impart something to you. If you have questions, again, leave a comment and I'll be more than happy to answer them. Until next time, Shalom Ufrachot.